Imagine a tiny shadow on your wall that somehow transforms into a terrifying, towering giant at midnight. What if I told you the monster keeping you awake is actually no bigger than a small thumbnail? Why do we often choose to run from shadows that have not even reached out to touch us? We find ourselves trapped in a cycle where our own imagination feeds the very things we fear most. Is it the problem itself that is so massive, or is it merely our own perception playing tricks? In an ancient fable, we learn how a simple echo can become a roar if we stay silent. This story begins with a fundamental truth about how our mindset shapes the world around us every day. When we choose to ignore a small problem, we give it the space it needs to grow larger. Like a neglected weed in a garden, an unattended worry quickly spreads its roots deep into our soul. Facing problems early prevents them from evolving into the overwhelming beasts that haunt our quietest, darkest moments. Every time we turn our backs, we are unintentionally nourishing the inner fear we wish would just vanish. Running away from these challenges never actually solves them. It only grants them more power over our lives. We believe distance will bring us safety, but the shadow only follows closer with every step we take. True strength is not found in avoiding the struggle, but in the quiet courage to stand your ground. Courage is the vital key needed to unlock the chains of anxiety and face the truth head-on. It requires a shift in perspective to see that the monster is only as big as we allow. If we stop running, we might discover that our greatest enemies are often smaller than they first appear. Instead of fleeing into the darkness, we must learn to shine a light on what truly scares us. To understand how we let our fears grow into giants, we have to look deep into the forest. Let us journey together into the heart of this mystery to reclaim the power we have given away. This is the story of a rabbit, but it is really a story about all of us. In a forest of green hills lived a creature who had mastered the art of being a neighbor. Beyond the emerald slopes lies a massive cave carved deep into the ancient, silent heart of the woods. Inside this vast stone sanctuary made his home a rabbit with a spirit as big as his dwelling. He did not just inhabit the space, but cultivated a mindset of peace that resonated through the trees. Everyone knew this rabbit possessed a kind heart that beat in rhythm with the forest's own pulse. His life became a living fable of kindness, proving that even the smallest can hold great power. Every creature, from the smallest beetle to the largest deer, held a deep love for their gentle friend. When trouble brewed among the brambles, he was the first to stand tall and offer his steady hand. With quiet courage, he faced problems that left others trembling in the shadows of their own inner fear. He became the anchor for those lost in the storm, a pillar of strength within the woodland community. The rabbit was like the glue that held the fragile pieces of the forest world together. What makes someone a pillar of a community, if not their willingness to serve others without hesitation? Every act of mercy sent an echo through the hills, reminding everyone they were never truly alone. He taught them that facing problems together was the only way to shrink the giants in their minds. His reputation for selfless service spread like sunlight, warming every corner of the vast green landscape. He saw the best in everyone, even when they could only see the shadows of their doubts. From his huge cave, he watched over his neighbors with the watchful eyes of a true guardian. His life was a testament to how the right mindset can transform a simple burrow into a palace. But even the kindest souls can find their peace shattered by a single, unlucky morning. One crisp morning, the rabbit set out with a hunger that simple green leaves couldn't satisfy. For weeks, he had grown bored of the same daily routine and those endless, tasteless leaves. He craved something better, yet finding his favorite treat was like searching for a needle in a haystack. In this vast forest, discovering a single carrot was considered almost impossible by every other creature. Have you ever wanted something so deeply it felt like an impossible dream to achieve? Every step he took through the undergrowth was driven by a mindset of hope and quiet courage. He ignored the easy meals scattered around, searching instead for the rare treasure he truly desired. Finding a carrot wasn't just about a meal. For this rabbit, it was truly a miracle. Suddenly, buried beneath the damp earth, he spotted a vibrant flash of orange that changed everything. With trembling paws, he reached down and carefully pulled the perfect, crunchy carrot from the ground. This was no ordinary find. It was the echo of his persistence finally being rewarded. Instead of eating it immediately, he decided to take this precious prize back to his home. He imagined how delicious it would taste once he was safely tucked inside his cozy cave. But even in his joy, an inner fear whispered that this luck might be too good to last. He gripped the carrot tightly, ready to face any problems that might arise on the path ahead. Every rustle in the grass made his heart race as he guarded his impossible treasure. Like a classic fable, this moment marked the delicate balance between his success and his survival. The morning sun shone brightly, illuminating the path back to the safety of his mountain home. He moved quickly through the trees, feeling the weight of the miracle resting in his small paws. The rabbit knew he had to be careful if he wanted to enjoy his feast in peace. His journey was halfway done, but the forest seemed different now that he held such value. To protect his find, he would need to summon every ounce of courage he possessed. He finally had the prize, and now he just had to get it home safely. The path home seemed safe and secure, until the treacherous ground suddenly gave way beneath his feet. In a split second, his moment of triumph turned into a desperate and terrifying fight for survival. This fable reminds us how quickly the world can shift from golden peace to sudden crushing chaos. As he walked, his mind was filled with the prize he carried, ignoring the danger lurking nearby. A single patch of wet mud was all it took to send the rabbit tumbling toward disaster. He slipped near the edge, almost falling directly into the river's cold and violent current. How quickly can everything change when we least expect a challenge to appear in our path? His heart hammered against his ribs as he reached out blindly for anything to stop his fall. Just before the water claimed him, he caught hold of a sturdy tree root near the bank. Gripping the root with all his strength, he realized the true meaning of courage in that moment. Facing problems often requires us to find hidden strength we never knew existed within our tired hearts. But as he pulled himself to safety, the golden treasure began to slide from his desperate grasp. Like a dream at sunrise, the prized carrot slipped away into the rushing, unforgiving water. He watched in silent horror as his hard-earned reward bobbed helplessly in the rapid, churning flow. The inner fear he had fought so hard to overcome suddenly returned with a chilling, cold echo. Every second felt like an eternity as the carrot drifted toward the thunderous edge of the cliff. Before he could react, the golden prize disappeared forever under the weight of a deep waterfall. The sound of the crashing water seemed to mock the effort he had spent finding his treasure. Sometimes our greatest tests come not from finding what we want, but from losing it so suddenly. Maintaining the right mindset is difficult when everything you worked for vanishes in a heartbeat. Wet, cold, and empty-handed, the rabbit returned to the only safe place he had left. He shivered as he climbed the bank, feeling the heavy weight of his sudden and unexpected loss. The forest seemed darker now, reflecting the disappointment that clouded his once hopeful and bright spirit. Yet, even in the depths of failure, a small spark of resilience began to flicker within him. He walked toward his cave, wondering if this was the end or just another difficult lesson. He reached his entrance, but the air felt different, heavy with a presence he didn't recognize. The rabbit's sanctuary, his safe haven from the world, now pulsed with a strange, dark energy. What would you do if your only place of safety suddenly became a dangerous, unknown trap? Every shadow in the forest seemed to watch as he hesitated at the threshold of his home. He had returned empty-handed, seeking comfort, but instead found a mystery that chilled his very soul. The familiar scent of dry earth was gone, replaced by something cold and impossibly ancient. He peered into the gloom, hoping his eyes were playing tricks on his weary, tired mind. But the silence inside was too deep, a heavy weight that pressed firmly against his small chest. In this ancient fable, we often find that our greatest problems begin within our own safe spaces. The rabbit took a trembling step forward, his courage warring with a primal, rising sense of dread. Suddenly, he realized the cave wasn't empty, and whatever lived inside didn't sound like any known animal. His heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird desperate to escape a closing cage. Facing problems head-on requires a mindset that most of us struggle to find in moments of crisis. Before he could turn to run, a voice boomed from the darkness, echoing off the stone walls. It was a sound like grinding rocks, a terrifying echo that seemed to vibrate through the floor. "I am the one who breaks a rhino's bones," the mysterious intruder claimed with chilling, absolute calm. The words hung in the air, a physical force that paralyzed the rabbit where he stood trembling. "And I am the one who crushes an elephant into dust." The voice continued with terrifying power. This staggering claim of strength transformed the tiny cave into a chamber of absolute, overwhelming fear. The rabbit's inner fear flared, casting a shadow much larger than the intruder could ever truly be. How can a small creature stand against the force that claims to shatter the world's strongest giants? Every muscle in his body froze as he faced the manifestation of his own worst possible nightmare. This moment of terror reveals the true nature of the problems we all face in our lives. The voice was a weight, a heavy burden that threatened to break his spirit before the fight. He stood at the edge of his own home, now a stranger to the place he loved. In the world of this fable, the greatest test is not the enemy, but our own reaction. The intruder's boast echoed again, a haunting reminder that power is often found in the spoken word. The rabbit looked for a way out, but the darkness seemed to reach out and hold him. This confrontation was about to change everything he knew about courage and the strength of the mind. A voice boomed from the darkness, a voice that would paralyze the strongest hearts in the forest. The apex predators of the forest were about to meet their match in this timeless fable. Desperate and trembling, the rabbit turned to the forest's fiercest protectors for some much-needed courage. Can fear make a king look like a coward when facing problems from the deep shadows? First, the rabbit begged a passing wolf to help drive the mysterious creature from his home. The wolf agreed, approaching the cave with a confidence that seemed to defy all inner fear. Standing tall at the entrance, the wolf let out a growl that echoed through the dark trees. But as the voice from the darkness spoke, the wolf's fierce mindset began to crumble instantly. A sudden chill took hold, causing the mighty wolf to shiver in absolute, paralyzing terror. Without a second thought, the predator turned and fled to hide deep within the thick bushes. The rabbit watched in horror as his first hope vanished into the safety of the leaves. Even the sharpest teeth cannot bite through the heavy weight of an unknown and haunting echo. Seeing the wolf fail, a powerful tiger stepped forward to offer his strength to the rabbit. The tiger remembered how the small rabbit had once helped him in a moment of need. This was his chance to return the favor and demonstrate true courage against the unknown presence. He approached the cave entrance, his golden fur glowing as he prepared to face the problem. With a breath that shook the earth, the tiger unleashed a roar of pure, untamed ferocity. However, the voice inside the cave remained calm, claiming it had defeated rhinos and elephants. The tiger's roar was silenced like a candle in a hurricane by those terrifying, impossible claims. Fear gripped the tiger's heart, proving that even the strongest can be defeated by their mindset. He turned his back on the cave and sprinted away, leaving the rabbit alone once again. Silence returned to the clearing, heavier than before, as the rabbit contemplated his grim situation. When the forest's bravest warriors flee, we must wonder if the true enemy is just an echo. But if a wolf and a tiger won't stand their ground, who will face the darkness alone? Next came the heavy hitters of the wild, the giants who usually fear absolutely no one. When the giants fall, hope usually dies with them in this ancient and meaningful fable. A massive rhino stomped the ground in anger, ready to challenge whatever hid inside the cave. "Who dares to insult my kind?" he bellowed, his voice echoing through the dark, damp trees. The chilling voice from the cave didn't tremble, instead asking a question that froze the rhino. "Do you also want your bones broken like your brother?" The hollow voice whispered back. Is size really a defense against the unknown when your inner fear begins to take hold? Suddenly, the armored beast turned and ran away, sweating in fear despite his thick, protective skin. Next, the great elephant stepped forward, yet even his massive strength could not offer true mindset. Upon hearing that same ghostly voice, the elephant panicked and forgot all his natural, towering courage. Believe it or not, the massive elephant ran away even faster than the tiger had earlier. The elephant ran like he was a tiny mouse being chased by a giant, hungry cat. The sight of a sweating rhino proves that size is no defense against a crumbling mindset. This timeless fable teaches us that an echo of doubt can topple even the strongest creatures. When we lack the right mindset, every small problem feels like a giant shadow on the wall. A wave of terror swept through the trees as the largest protectors fled the scene quickly. If the kings and giants are running, what chance does a small, lonely rabbit truly have? Facing problems is never about how big you are, but how you handle your inner fear. The shadow in the cave remained, growing more powerful with every creature that chose to run. The forest was now in a full-blown panic as the last of the giants finally disappeared. Why did the mightiest creatures flee while the tiny rabbit remained rooted to the spot? This surprising contrast reveals that physical power does not always equal a truly courageous mindset. Consider the rhino, whose massive frame and sharp horn made him a legendary force of nature. He stomped the ground in anger, bellowing to know who dared to insult his kind. His pride was as thick as his skin, yet it became his greatest weakness that day. Then there was the elephant, a gentle giant who usually commanded respect from every living soul. But even this titan panicked and ran away after hearing the mysterious voice from the cave. Their size should have made them brave, yet their fear was even larger than their bodies. The more these giants had to lose, the more easily the inner fear took control. This ancient fable illustrates that our external strength can often mask a very fragile internal spirit. When we build our identity on power, we become terrified of anything that might threaten it. The rhino and elephant were trapped by the need to protect their reputations as masters. Every echo from the dark cave felt like a direct assault on their perceived superiority. Facing problems becomes impossible when we are too busy guarding our ego from potential damage. Real courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite the noise. The rabbit succeeded because he did not have a giant reputation to defend against the shadow. He focused on the reality of the situation, rather than the terrifying possibilities of the unknown. This mindset allowed him to see past the illusion that had paralyzed the forest's strongest residents. We often find ourselves acting like the elephant, fleeing from echoes that exist only within. To truly master our lives, we must learn to recognize when fear is just an echo. True resilience is built by looking inward rather than relying on the armor we wear. When we are willing to lose everything, fear loses its power to dictate our next move. The giants were defeated by their own imagination long before they reached the safety of trees. Their inner fear transformed a simple sound into a monster capable of toppling their entire world. We often face similar echoes in our careers, relationships, and the quiet moments of the night. Success in facing problems depends on our ability to distinguish between a real threat and noise. Adopting a courageous mindset means choosing to investigate the cave rather than running from the dark. The rabbit taught us that being small allows us to focus purely on the truth of now. He did not let the shadow of his own status obscure the reality standing right before him. By understanding why the giants failed, we can start building a foundation that never truly shakes. As the giants hid in the shadows, a tiny voice piped up from the mud below. Then, from the mud, came the most unlikely hero the ancient forest had ever seen. Hidden behind thick trunks and tall grass, the once brave giants watched the scene with bated breath. The wolf, the tiger, and even the massive rhino returned secretly to witness this impossible feat. They peeked through the leaves, their hearts racing with a fear they couldn't quite explain away. Why does the smallest voice sometimes carry the most courage in the face of absolute darkness? This was a classic fable unfolding, like David standing before a Goliath only 2 inches tall. While the elephant trembled in the brush, a little frog hopped forward to offer his help. He didn't have claws or tusks, but he possessed a mindset that the others lacked entirely. The rabbit looked on in disbelief as the tiny creature positioned himself before the dark opening. Facing problems head-on requires a spirit that isn't measured by the size of one's physical frame. The giants remained paralyzed by their inner fear, anchored to the safety of the deep woods. In this high-stakes standoff, the silence felt heavy enough to crush the very spirit of hope. The little frog took a deep breath, his small chest puffing out with an incredible resolve. He didn't see a monster. He only saw a challenge that needed a voice to speak. Every eye in the forest was fixed on that small patch of dirt near the entrance. The frog looked directly into the gloom and shouted, asking the shadow, "Who is inside?" His voice didn't waver, even as a hollow echo returned from the depths of the cave. He wasn't waiting for an invitation. He was demanding the truth from the darkness itself. Then, with a roar of confidence, the frog shouted his demand, "Come out and face me!" The giants gasped in their hiding places, certain that this was the end for the frog. It was a moment of pure audacity that challenged the very nature of what they feared. The forest went completely silent as everyone waited for the brave little frog to be crushed. Time seemed to freeze while the echo of his challenge rang through the trembling green leaves. In the quiet that followed, the true power of courage began to ripple through the air. The tension in the air finally reached a breaking point as the forest held its collective breath. The terrifying beast that had paralyzed the giants finally prepared to step into the golden light. Every eye was fixed on the cave's dark entrance, waiting for a monster of nightmares to appear. But the creature that emerged was far from the towering giant that everyone had initially expected. A tiny, fuzzy caterpillar slowly crept out of the cave, moving with a humble and quiet grace. It paused at the edge of the threshold, blinking its small eyes at the massive crowd gathered. This miniature traveler looked more like a harmless speck of dust than a fierce and deadly predator. The contrast between the caterpillar's slow movement and the elephant's frantic flight was truly staggering. How could something so incredibly small strike such deep and paralyzing terror into the hearts of many? The answer lay hidden within the hollow, jagged walls of the cave that the creatures feared. Every time the tiny caterpillar spoke, the cave's unique structure amplified its voice into a roar. The simple echo transformed a soft, gentle whisper into a booming sound that resembled rolling thunder. Like a whisper in a megaphone, the cave created a powerful illusion that deceived the entire forest. The monsters we fear are often just small things amplified by the empty spaces in our minds. When the animals finally saw their supposed enemy, the heavy silence was suddenly shattered by joy. The forest animals burst into uncontrollable laughter as they realized just how badly they were mistaken. Lions and elephants chuckled together, feeling foolish for running away from such a microscopic little neighbor. Their inner fear had turned a harmless bug into a giant, proving that mindset dictates our reality. We often let our problems grow into mountains before we ever take the time to face them. This timeless fable reminds us that most of our terrifying nightmares are simply echoes of small things. When you finally face your problems directly, you might find that the beast is just a myth. True courage begins when we stop listening to the thunder and start looking for the tiny truth. The monster was nothing but an echo, and the greatest enemy was actually their own unchecked imagination. Now that the light has revealed the truth, the forest can finally breathe in peace once more. The fable of the cave reveals a profound truth about how our mindset shapes our daily reality. Remember how the caterpillar's tiny voice sounded like thunder simply because of the cave's powerful echo? This phenomenon illustrates how isolation can transform a small concern into a terrifying and insurmountable threat. When we feel alone, our inner fear begins to bounce off the walls of our own mind. These psychological echo chambers amplify every doubt until they seem far larger than they truly are. Without an outside perspective, our thoughts circle back to us, gaining more momentum with every single repetition. This is why we naturally gravitate toward the worst-case scenario when we lack all the necessary facts. The darkness of a mental cave feeds the imagination, turning simple shadows into looming and predatory giants. We often mistake the booming volume of our anxiety for the actual size of the obstacle ahead. Facing problems effectively requires us to step out of the silence and into the bright light of truth. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to investigate the real source of noise. When we finally confront the monster, we often find a harmless caterpillar hiding in the deep shadows. Isolation makes small threats feel overwhelming, stripping away our ability to see things as they really are. To break this cycle, we must actively challenge the negative narratives that our inner fear tries to scream. A simple shift in mindset allows us to see the world through clarity rather than through panic. By sharing our burdens with others, we soften the echo and regain a much-needed sense of grounded perspective. Real strength begins when we decide to stop running from the thundering voices echoing inside our heads. Every ancient fable teaches us that our greatest battles are often fought within the silence of ourselves. Don't let the hollow echoes of a dark cave dictate the boundaries of your own personal journey. Keep in mind that the loudest threats are frequently nothing more than a trick of your environment. Step forward with confidence and watch as your insurmountable giants shrink back into tiny and harmless truths. When you find the courage to face the echo, you reclaim the power to define your own story. The laughter from the rabbit's realization faded away, but the ancient forest lesson remained behind. We all have tiny caterpillars in our lives that we have mistaken for terrifying monsters. This fable reveals how our mindset transforms simple echoes into the giants that keep us trapped. Behind the curtain of fear, 3 powerful truths emerge to guide us through our own dark woods. First, we must recognize that ignoring a tiny leak eventually leads to a flooded, ruined home. Small problems left in the shadows don't disappear. They quietly grow into overwhelming, insurmountable obstacles. Like the rabbit's lost carrot, a minor setback can spiral when we refuse to address it immediately. When we look away from a small friction, we give it permission to become a consuming fire. Addressing the seed today prevents the tangled forest of tomorrow from taking over your path. The second lesson reminds us that raw courage is the only tool that truly breaks the spell. Think of the tiny frog who stood his ground while the giants of the wild fled in terror. Courage is not a lack of fear, but the decision that something else is more important. Facing the problem requires a mindset shift from a trembling victim to a brave, curious observer. When you find your voice like that frog, the loudest echoes begin to lose their terrifying power. True strength is found in the stillness of looking directly at what makes your heart race. The final truth is simple yet difficult. Running away from a problem never actually solves it. Every step you take in retreat only allows the shadow to stretch longer and loom larger. Challenges are like echoes in a cave. They follow you until you turn around and face them. You cannot outrun your inner fears because they travel within the very heart you are carrying. By standing still, you force the monster to reveal its true, often harmless, and fragile nature. These 3 pillars of wisdom turn a simple animal story into a blueprint for a better life. Are you currently running from an echo that has no real power to harm you today? What is the cave in your life right now that you have been too afraid to enter? Remember that the giants who panicked were defeated by a sound that had no physical form. Your perspective is the only thing that decides if a shadow is a threat or an illusion. Take a deep breath and prepare to reclaim the power you once gave away to fear. Courage isn't the total absence of fear. It is looking into the dark cave anyway. Tomorrow's peace is built on the small, brave actions you choose to take in this moment. The forest is quiet now, waiting for you to decide which path you will finally take. Don't let your story be written by echoes when you hold the pen in your hand. When the echoes of fear begin to roar, you need a mindset built on intentional action. Transforming your daily reality starts with a simple 3-step framework for confronting every noisy problem. The first pillar of this ancient courage is learning to question the source of the noise. Most shadows gain their power because we refuse to look at what is actually casting them. Instead of running, ask yourself if the threat is a monster or just a distorted reflection. Once you identify the source, the second step requires you to physically move toward the unknown. Stepping closer to the cave strips away the mystery that fuels our most deep-seated anxieties. Distance creates a vacuum where our imagination builds giants out of nothing but thin, cold air. Closing the gap allows you to see the jagged rocks for what they truly are today. The final and most powerful step is learning how to speak back to your inner fear. Recall how the brave frog called out into the darkness, asking who was hiding inside. He stood his ground and shouted for the presence to come out and face him directly. Speaking your fear's name aloud often breaks the spell it holds over your shaking heart. When you vocalize your strength, the silence that once felt heavy begins to lose its grip. This framework isn't about ignoring danger, but about refusing to let it dictate your path. Your mindset is the shield that turns a terrifying cave into a simple opening in the earth. True courage is born the moment you decide to engage with the noise instead of fleeing. You hold the pen, and these 3 steps ensure you write a story of triumph. Apply this fable to your challenges and watch as the towering giants begin to shrink. Face the cave today and discover that the loudest echoes often come from the smallest places. If this story helped you see your problems a little differently, please consider liking this video today. Every like helps this fable reach others who might be struggling with their own inner fear right now. We all face shadows that seem much larger than they actually are in our hectic daily lives. Changing your mindset is the first step toward finding the courage to enter your own dark cave. Perhaps you realize that the thunderous echo was just a tiny voice seeking a way back home. We want to hear how this journey through the Green Hills has impacted your unique perspective today. Tell me, what is one caterpillar you finally found the strength to face during this past year? Sharing your experience can provide the spark of courage someone else needs to confront their deepest fears. Your comments create a community where we can all learn to master our mindset and grow together. Do you feel like the rabbit or the giants when life throws a sudden, unexpected curveball? Subscribe to join us for more timeless stories that turn ancient wisdom into practical tools for living. Each new video explores the subtle ways that courage can transform even the most terrifying internal landscapes. Remember that facing problems directly is the only way to silence the loud echoes of the mind. Let this fable serve as a constant reminder that you are stronger than the shadows you perceive. We truly value every thought and personal story you choose to share in the discussion section below. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into human psychology. Your support allows us to keep crafting these narratives that challenge the way we view the world. Thank you for watching today, and may you find the clarity needed to conquer your inner caves. Keep moving forward with a brave heart and a mindset ready to handle whatever the forest brings. Thanks for watching, and keep facing your caves with the wisdom you have gathered here today.